Deserts don't have water. Everyone knows that. But few people realize that in Israel, they're actually trying to bring a seaport into the heart of the dry desert. They're moving an amount of rock equivalent to 13 Giza pyramids and pumping 80 million cubic feet of water into a hole 5 deep. The desert port is just one part of the project. The plan also includes a railway line and massive infrastructure that could push Israel's total investment up to $20 billion. Why are they doing this? Will this become a wonder in the desert or Israel's biggest disaster? Watch until the end of this documentary for the answer. The desert covers more than half Israel is trapped by a bottleneck called Suez Trade Challenge behind the southern gateway port of Israel's land and is surrounded by hostile neighbors. Yes, Israel doesn't have any truly safe overland trade routes. So, it's no surprise that 98% of Israel's goods from fuel to food have to travel by sea. The country's two biggest ports, Ashdod and Haifa, are up north on the Mediterranean. But you know what the problem is? Every ship has to pass through the Suez Canal, a 120 corridor that's only 670 feet wide. That's tiny, especially when modern mega ships like the Ever Given are over 1,300 feet long and nearly 200 foot tall. Remember the Ever Given incident back in 2021? Just 6 days stuck and 422 ships had to wait, costing the world $9.6 billion each day. That's half of Israel's GDP in just 5 days. And that wasn't the first time. After the Six-Day War in 1967, Egypt closed the canal for 8 years, forcing ships to detour an extra 4,000 m, the same as driving from New York to Los Angeles and back. Today, things aren't much better. In 2024, over 2,000 ships were forced to go around the Cape of Good Hope, adding 10 to 14 days to their journey. And the scariest thing, Israel doesn't control that route, Egypt does. Egypt can hike fees, pause traffic, or limit ships anytime. The canal toll is now up to $700,000 per trip, more than 10 times what it was 20 years ago. After being choked by Suez, Israel looked the halfway exit, Eilat, and Israel's desert transformation begins south and saw a tiny glimmer of hope, its only city on the Red Sea. In theory, this should be the perfect exit, right? But in reality, not at all. Is only 7 miles long, surrounded by rocky mountains in the back and blocked by international borders in the front, while the Gulf of Aqaba is just 9 miles wide and has to be shared with both Jordan and Egypt. There's almost no room to expand. The port of AOT handles only about 50,000 TEU containers a year, while Haifa manages 1.46 million TEUs, nearly 30 times more. The water depth is just 40 foot while modern container ships need at least 55 feet to dock. Simply put, big ships can't get in. Worse, a lot has no rail connection to Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. All goods have to go 150 miles across the Negev desert by truck, doubling or tripling costs compared to rail. The government once proposed a 155 rail line crossing 60 bridges and tunnel costing $8 billion. But after 10 years, it's still just on paper. Thinking about expanding the port to fix this, that's tough because Israel's beach tourism capital, home to the world's northernmost coral reef and over 3 million tourists each year. So expanding locally is pretty much impossible. But if you can't expand, what can Israel do? Move the port into the desert. Yes, you heard that right. That southern gateway idea, artificial port construction in the desert seaport in the middle of the hot sands. Sounds crazy, but that's exactly the plan. The southern gateway port, Israel's ambitious project north of Eilat, just 4.6 miles from the Red Sea, right next to the Jordanian border. Here they plan to dig a deep water basin nearly 5 m long, over 1,000 feet wide and 50 feet deep, enough to hold 80 million cubic feet of seawater pumped from the Gulf of Aqaba. Sounds wild, but to do that, they'll have to move over 100 million tons of earth and rock, the same as 13 Giza pyramids. To turn this water hole into a real port, Israel will pump water through a 5-mile underground pipeline using gigawatt-powered pumps to keep the water level steady. The basin floor will be lined with special waterproof material to prevent salt water from seeping into the desert's underground layers, while a system of valves and 24-hour pumping stations will work like an artificial heart to keep the port alive. If completed, this would be Israel's first inland port on par with Saudi Arabia's NEOM or Dubai's Jebel Ali. But between dream and reality is a wall of risks: salinization, subsidence, corrosion, evaporation, and maintenance costs of over $1 billion every decade. But you know what? Building a port in the desert, the railway connection, a natural engineering marvel linking seas, is only half the story. Because without a way to move goods out, that port is just an expensive lake in the sand. That's why Israel needs something even bolder: a 155 railway across the desert. The negative is so barren that from space you see nothing but rocks, wind, and the shadows of sand dunes. This line would connect Isla in the far south to Be'er-Sheva, Israel's central industrial hub, and then run straight to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. To cross this harsh terrain, they'll have to build over 60 bridges, tunnels, and viaducts, literally stitching the desert together with steel. The rail line alone costs $8 billion, almost half the total for the Southern Gateway project. To put that in perspective, it's about the same as the entire California high-speed rail line from San Francisco to Bakersfield. But just to link one port to the economic center, imagine $8 billion just to move goods from an artificial ocean to the Tel Aviv region. Sounds crazy, but it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. According to the plan, freight trains will take about 2.5 hours to cover the route, moving over 10 million tons of cargo each year. If successful, Israel will have its first commercial land bridge in history, allowing Asian goods to reach Europe without Suez, cutting travel time by over 10 days and saving millions in fuel. After more than a decade of debate, expected benefits, nature-based solutions for Israel's future economy, Israelis still believe the Southern Gateway isn't just a logistics project. It's a national rebirth in the desert. Moving port deep into the drylands will give the beautiful coastline back to the people. Over 400 acres of prime beachfront will be turned into resorts, parks, residential areas, and public beaches, promising to make the Miami of the Middle East. According to Israel's Ministry of Tourism, tourism revenue could rise by $1.5 billion a year, 4 times the profit from the old port. The city's population is expected to grow from 55,000 to 80,000, opening a new era for southern Israel. The two workhorses of logistics, Haifa and Ashdod, which handle 90% of the nation's goods, will also see a big load reduction. Did you know Israel loses over $700 million a year to congestion and container delays? Once the Southern Gateway is running, customs clearance time will drop by 30 to 40%, letting Asian goods dock via the Red Sea instead of crowding the Mediterranean. More importantly, Israel will rely less on the Suez Canal, where 65% of imports now have to pass through a choke point controlled by Egypt. This project will also create over 150,000 jobs directly and indirectly and use solar panel roofing to cut carbon dioxide emissions by 30%. At full operation, the Southern Gateway could add 1.8% to the national GDP, about $2.5 billion a year. The land bridge from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean could even shorten the Asia-Europe shipping route. Some corporations from India and South Korea have already shown interest in running this logistics hub. Sounds like Southern challenges and doubts. Can the Southern Gateway port truly drive ecosystem recovery? Gateway is the perfect solution to all of Israel's problems, right? But reality is much more complicated. First, the money. The negative railway alone is estimated to cost over $10 billion. The rest, digging the canal, building the basin pumps, port, and infrastructure, could push total investment to $15 to $20 billion. That's 3 times Israel's annual defense budget and 700 times the cost of building the Golden Gate Bridge. This is the kind of investment only superpowers dream about. Even if Southern Gateway is finished, ships still have to pass through the Red Sea, a region where a single healthy missile can shake up the global energy market. In other words, Israel can dodge Suez but not war. Meanwhile, the country has already spent over $2.3 billion modernizing its 2 major ports, Haifa Bayport and Ashdod. Then there's nature, the silent but deadliest opponent. The Gulf of Aqaba is home to the world's northernmost coral reef, which has existed for over 7,000 years. Just one leak, while pumping millions of tons of seawater, could wipe out the entire ecosystem forever. Desert temperatures reach up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, causing rapid water evaporation, metal corrosion, and pushing maintenance costs over $1 billion every decade. So, after current progress, as of 2025, Discovery documentary on ongoing desert projects, all the grand blueprints, ambitious promises, and heated debates, where does the Southern Gateway stand now? As of the time you're watching this documentary, not a single stone has been laid for Southern Gateway. That's right. No cranes, no rails, no docks. It's still just empty sand between and the Jordanian border, where the wind blows past survey markers and disappears into the desert. The project is stuck at the pre-feasibility stage, just past preliminary return on investment assessments and technical economic reviews. The Israeli government hasn't made a final financial decision, mainly because costs keep skyrocketing. There are other reasons, too. Most equipment, materials, and even skilled labor have to be imported via Egypt or Jordan, the very two countries Israel wants to break free from. In other words, even if Southern Gateway is built for independence, the construction process itself is anything but independent. And in the end, no investors are willing to take the risk. Private corporations see more risk than reward. One senior official speaking anonymously admitted the project isn't dead, but it's in hibernation. That's not all. When announced, Israeli public opinion split in two. One side calls it a historic leap to escape the Suez bottleneck. The other is more blunt. Domestic and international reactions, global response to Israel's bold port vision: we're trying to build a Dubai in the desert without oil money. In Tel Aviv, logistics business circles are excited. They believe the Red Sea-Mediterranean land bridge could turn Israel into Asia's new shipping hub. One expert even compared if Suez is the heart, Southern Gateway will be the lungs that let the whole regional trade system breathe when Suez is blocked. But the people of Eilat don't see it that way. To them, this project threatens to wipe out Israel's only beach paradise. Hotel owners, diving instructors, and coral conservation groups have launched many campaigns with the slogan, "You can't drain the sea and still keep it blue." A 2025 survey showed that 62% of IOT residents oppose expanding the port or building industrial infrastructure in the area. What about the world? The United Arab Emirates and India were the first to show interest, since this Red Med route could cut shipping from Mumbai to Europe by 10 to 12 days. South Korea and Japan are also watching closely, seeing it as the backdoor to Suez. On the other hand, Egypt views the project as a direct economic threat. Just a 10% drop in Suez traffic could cost them over $700 million in transit fees every year. International media call this the secret race between Israel's desert and Egypt's pyramids. One side building an artificial port, the other expanding a real canal. And the final question for you: who will win this trade war? The one with the real canal, or the one daring to dig a canal in the desert? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring projects, dreams in the desert, and races the world doesn't want you to know about, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a documentary.